That's a hot intro. Whoa, welcome everybody
So
to
thirsty
another
for that intro.
awesome. Oh yeah, bro, that intro always gets me so hyped. I don't know, something about those next level videos. AAA was missing out. You guys did that right after we went on hiatus. So anyway, welcome to another call to action match breakdown. I'm your host today, Dylan Camacho, D-U-N-C-2-A Macho. I realize I could do this with my name, and I feel so silly for not doing it way sooner. With me today is the one, the only, the amazing Alex. You think you were going to wait for something else. I was just going to go with Alex.
Oh, that's it. That's it. You know, I'm gonna change my site. Okay. There you go. There you go. C2 Alex.
Hey, there we go. All
there
right.
you go. Yeah. I cannot wait to dive into this. I'm Alex Mag, part of the collection crew as well, and I cannot wait for us to dive into this match today. Dylan, what match are we gonna be breaking down?
Whew, today we are talking about a fierce battle between the one, the only Reilly versus VideoDrew. And this is a hot match. This is a hot match because this is Mark Reilly in a first round on a singles tournament, which means it could go either way at any given point. So.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting match between these two competitors. I know for a long time when the tournament really was released with all these, first round matches, everyone was talking about how this match in particular was definitely going to be one of the big fan favorites, along with, Tom and Tim, matches like that. So I cannot wait to dive into this match in particular, not only because it's a fan favorite, but because these competitors are so different personalities, different characters, obviously, and very different approaches to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is really the pairing of these two on screen immediately. That actually reminds me of like some weird new revamp version of Wolves of Steel, right? Very horror fans, very like people who are involved on that side of things. And I was just like, that'd be an interesting team. The character work would be all over the place. But yeah, looking at a glance, like VideoDrew is definitely, the underdog by stats by a lot as far as that goes if we're looking just at records. But, she has an impressive run. Her wins and her losses are all crazy good in teams. And I think she had a rough start in the debut as a rookie, but this is her very next match in. It's crazy to think this is only her second match in singles, actually. Yeah,
she's more well known for her matches that she's played in teams overall, not only part of the Cuckoo's Mess, but also from one of the best teams of all time in recent years. And that would be
the Looney Bin.
And I kept thinking, have you seen a dead body? And I'm like, that's not the actual name of the team. I'm like, why am I thinking only of that line? I can't think of the team name. I can only think of the line. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Stop.
Yeah, but without further ado, guys, if you've been waiting for this match, we've been waiting for this match, and we've already watched it, but we're ready to break it down and really get into the nitty-gritties of it. Let's just go ahead and throw it on up to the screen right there. Wait, hold on. My bad. Right there. Boom. And let's get into it. So we're just going to leap right into the match. We're not doing the 20 minutes of promos and all of that. We're going right on in, guys. We're here for the meat and potatoes of this match.
Can we take a minute to talk about her goth IHOP?
Oh my gosh, the goth IHOP green screen dress is fantastic.
It's giving me life. I love it. Also, I'm just kind of curious. She's talked about when during training and everything that she talks about the psychology of competitors going into it as well. Oh, is it on mute or is it just that low?
It feels very quiet.
Pens down, please.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, so I know she talked about how she always wants to find ways to kind of really psych her competitors, during training sessions and everything. So, and, whipping out the dolls and everything. She's all good to go.
Oh, yeah. Doll's already there. The green screen dress is there. VideoDrew is a master of distractions as far as the match goes with this one.
Let's be honest. I like this match is cool and all, but I'm here to watch Drew. Aren't we all?
Oh, absolutely.
And she's succeeding if that was her goal.
The fact that the mask can the face of the doll can come off and it's just meaty skin part underneath it is just really funny to me.
It's so pretty. She actually, a fan actually sent that to her with 20 different faces that could be attached.
That's wild. Yeah, I know. She changes it so many times throughout the mask, but that's so funny.
No, I don't like it.
That one's so Attack on Titan. If you don't know what that is, go check out Attack on Titan on Crunchyroll.
I'm scared to watch that show.
It's
So
something.
scared.
But so Reilly takes that early 2-1 lead.
Mhm.
And by the time round 1 ends, I know we're leaving ahead just a little bit mentally, but
Mhm.
this is a close round 1. This is not anybody's favorite round 1 by any means.
Yeah, this is a kind of an interesting round 1. Now, these questions, there's a lot of the questions, just like any round 1, they're very surface level, very focused on directors, actors and actresses, just just super duper surface level questions that you could, get information to from like movie trailers, movie posters, things like that. So, something like this question, for example, in the new release is what Chinese American woman who learns that her grandmother has cancer in the farewell, Aquafina. Oh, girl. Okay, Heather. I just want to give a shout out to my girl Heather over there in the chat. She is my sun and star. She's all on a bag of chips. Just want to say, hey, girl. Also, and happy belated birthday. Yeah, so the thing is with every round 1, it's a lot of surface level questions, but there's always 1 or 2 questions that dives a little bit deeper.
A borderline round 2 question for sure. And I think that what's interesting about these rounds of questions is that it starts off kind of more, it feels like more in Reilly's wheelhouse for like the first 4 or 5 questions, right? And I never want to say that like they're skewing the questions or anything like that. Nothing like that. But it definitely feels more Reilly's wheelhouse more than VideoDrew's. And then I feel like in the last 2 or 3 questions, it starts to go into her genres a little bit closer. And that's what I kind of love about the first round, is how much the flow goes to either player.
Absolutely. It's really interesting for sure. And they're very, honestly, competitor-wise, when it comes to strengths and weaknesses, both these competitors are actually kind of similar. They both consider horror movies big strengths. They're both good with scores and soundtracks. Sci-fi fantasies are definitely also, big strengths for them, or at least categories that they're in the process of, learning, that kind of thing. So I'm, it's kind of interesting going into this. I also was very kind of curious at what slices they both chose for each other.
I know. I'm curious. I wish we had. One thing I wish the matches did after the fact was if there was like a breakdown of like, okay, what wedges did Mark pick, what wedges did VideoDrew pick, and which ones were just the random slotted ones.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a really cool breakdown behind the scenes stuff for like a match, or maybe just like a Patreon thing or something like that. But yeah, we see midway through this match, right, that Reilly definitely gets flustered with himself on that last Schwarzenegger question. He gets, I think, a word wrong on it. It's like the 7th day, and he puts the 6th day or the flip. And he even says as much in the post-game interview how he's like, oh yeah, I definitely played a rough game, and I definitely should have done a lot better.
Yeah.
And you can really see that
effect.
Right. Even just on his face right now, like you can just feel like he's just like grumpy with himself. He's like, oh, I should get another 2 points right now.
I am kind of curious with this one, when they recorded this match. Was this before or after the big, Who's the Boss loss, just a few weeks ago? Because if it was right before, that could be extra motivation for him to also obviously improve and get better with that match. But also if it was directly after, I can definitely see that loss with Who's the Boss affecting him psychologically as a competitor going into this match, because everyone's talking about it. He's a former champion. He should have no issue getting this competitor that's only played in 1 match and lost. So there should be no reason, in theory, for him to walk away with a win.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that mindset going into the match could be a very big make or break. The way Mark words his Mark Ellis kind of words it in the post-game interview, it sounds as though that he was like, yeah, it sounds like this has been like your first match and you're shaking off the ring rust. And it kind of sounds like it comes before the Shazam match, but again, this could be talk, so they're not alluding into it. This could have been recorded beforehand, but it's definitely an interesting insight to see if this was his momentum to try to come out of the rut, or if this was, that, oh no, if I'm playing like this right now, how am I going to do against Shazam, like whenever this match goes on?
Yeah.
Yes, it is tied up now.
Yeah. Allison Williams, that's actually a great pull. It's also kind of funny because isn't that considered? I remember a question along those lines was like a big round 3 question for Christian, back during his championship match against Sam Levine.
Levine,
It was like after what flower was her character named after in Get Out, and the answer was Rose, and he answered Lily or something, or Daisy or something like that. So it's kind of funny how it used to be like a 2, 3, or 5 pointer. Now it's like a 1 pointer.
Right. Yeah,
kind of situation.
something we both noticed, even looking back at some of the old matches, is just how crazy some 1 pointers are compared to like nowadays. And I would even say that the Allison Williams question for Get Out, I mean, I think that is a little bit harder of a 1 point question because typically they're going to ask for like the main lead, so it'd be like Daniel Kaluuya or something.
Yeah.
But to ask for the the next female lead, essentially, I mean, that's still within 1 point territory, but it's definitely on the harder side. It's borderline 2 in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Wheel round has to go.
Yeah, not kidding. It's also obviously, like we said it before a million times, these questions are incredibly subjective. I may think questions about costume dramas and period films in general, to me, they're super easy. Like, who directed Pride and Prejudice starring Matthew McFadden and Keira Knightley? And I'm like, obviously it's Joe Wright, but this could be a 5 pointer for my man up here. So, it's crazy subjective. And also vice versa. I know he can whip out 1,000,001 movies that I know jack squat about.
I can now one way from start to finish. Give it to me all day. Let's go.
Yes. I've only seen those movies like once throughout. So, I definitely cannot answer anything about those movies.
I've seen them like once a day, but
it was really good. I really enjoy them. Now, looking at this, something I do kind of want to touch on is that the management style between Gucci and Kaiser is very, very different. If you were a competitor, which manager would you want?
I don't know. I'm on the fence, right? So I have to imagine if I'm a player.
Can you pause this? Pause this.
Yeah.
Pause it. I want to check out the wheel. Okay. Okay.
Let's go big
so just double checking. Let's see if we can. Okay, we got Tim Burton.
I would say probably a VideoDrew strength.
Spielberg.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Spinner's opponents, obviously. SNL. Is that Kate Blanchett? Yeah, that's Kate Blanchett.
Yep.
80s. Man, that's a hard category. 80s is like rough.
80s.
What? Okay. Disaster films.
Remakes
disaster
and
films.
Yeah, the remakes and remaster films or whatever. Denzel.
Remakes and reboots.
Denzel's after
Denzel.
that. Uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm a very slow writer, y'all. Is that comedies over there? Next to Spielberg and Brooks?
Comedies is right above Mel Brooks. Right.
Okay, that's comedies. All right. So overall, this is like a very solid, very diverse, wheel, which I love. I am really, really curious to see which and ask her which were her strengths going into, or maybe that's going to be, unlocking key, in the future, because like we've talked about, like some of the categories she's incredibly vocal about that she's very strong in, is like horror movies, monster movies, things like that, are movies that she's not only just very comfortable with, but stuff that she knows Reilly is also comfortable with too. But so I'm kind of curious of what she put on the wheel.
Yeah, and I mean, at a glance, it would make sense that you think like Tim Burton would be a Drew pick. Denzel possibly would be the Reilly pick because him and Ben have both had really good runs with that in teams before.
That's true. Yeah.
Mel Brooks feels like a random one slice thrown on there, but VideoDrew did not hesitate when she gets it here later in this round. I'll go ahead and let the video continue on. But yeah, I mean, Drew gets Mel Brooks and does a great job. Doesn't flinch when she gets it. So it makes me wonder if she didn't actually pick Mel Brooks as the
I like this category.
But so we have
very curious, yeah.
Meepo asking if dealing with the balls and rings and noise players. Nah, I think that this is probably the least distracting thing Gucci does at any given moment. So
he does like this thing like from like David Bowie's character from The Labyrinth. the Goblin King, where he's like
Oh,
that ball thing, where he's just like
He's
doing
always
it the entire time, and it's like there's like a little sparkle thing on the inside.
yeah, Gucci with the light up ball is Brad Pitt with food in every one of his movies, right? He always has to have something going on because he's just got a very big oral hand fixation thing for him. Like he's got to just be doing something.
I think Brad Pitt has mentioned that he just feels like everyone is always consciously or unconsciously doing something with their hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no one actively just keeps their hands down. You know, they're always like working on something. They're always eating or writing something down. So, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, guys, just want to, you know, bring it up. If you guys have any questions, comments, or you're just anything you're kind of curious about, please send us, you know, a Streamlab. We'd really appreciate it. Or like a super chat as well. Yeah, we would much appreciate any of the love. Yeah, but we got to do something to keep the lights on over here at C2A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that you say that knowing that your background of your apartment is actually dark. You're like, please, actually, though. I need the actual.
I have no lights on in my house, guys. Actually, I only have the lights in our house in this room. I'm in the living room right now since Lucas is in the bedroom where I usually shoot right now. And the light is only on like one side of our living room space. There's like no lights in like on the ceiling or anything in this area on this side, which is like really weird.
That's interesting.
So it was weird.
But anyway, on the match. So Reilly obviously hit Denzel, nailed the first question. He's on to the second one, and he'll whiff here. We're going to go ahead and do a spoiler there, guys. Who misses on this one, and VideoDrew is going to take the steal. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm convinced that this is his category because he feels the steal. And it's not that, sure, it's a 1 point steal.
True, yeah.
But, you know, you feel his demeanor really. He's like, all right. I mean, he's ready to go, but he's looking more flustered already as he's just waiting for that next question.
He does seem, I don't want to say angry, but he's definitely seems annoyed, you know, very stressed, increasingly stressed going into it. Like we were talking about, like with Brad Pitt, he's moving around, he's doing stuff with his hands. You know, like, and let's be honest, I don't know about you, but when I get nervous, I move. I think I have to move. You know, it's just like in order to kind of distract myself, in order to help at least try to refocus. You know, you tap your hands or your leg or whatever it may be. Versus Drew at this point, she is like chilling. You know?
She's just there to sit there and be as distracting as possible, hoping that she catches Mark Reilly's eye and just walks it, right? So this is what I love about Drew's character as a whole, and I've said this so many times before, that her character is like this very strange spectrum of heel, where she's not necessarily saying like mean things and trying to like berate you or anything, but she will just terrorize you in her own way. Like you've just got it. Like there's so much just magnetic. You want to be looking at Drew. She's always doing something to be, you know, just distracting in some capacity. Like even just with stuff like this, a green screen dress. Yeah, I love the subtle mind games that come into that. And sometimes it's less subtle. She's just got mind bits to her.
Now, this... speaking of mind games, going into this, we've talked. I've heard numerous competitors. Now, as a fan, I love seeing this behind the scene. Seeing this what usually would be behind the scenes. But after hearing competitors talk about how it's now on camera, it's a real downer for them, because in order to talk about strengths and weaknesses, in order to talk about strategy, or you know, talk about their headspace and everything, you know, they can't really do that effectively if they're on camera doing it. So it's rough, you know, it's really unfortunate. So you know, and also hearing this, I wonder if you know, because we've heard Gucci and Ben talk about how they use like code words and everything, like I do, you know, to really kind of help strategize and, you know, be able to like beat the whole thing that's on camera. I wonder if this whole like character thing they have going on right
now,
you know, like, oh, like what's your favorite, you know, Nirvana song kind of thing, is that a code, you know, for something?
You know, and with these two, it's really hard to tell, right? Because this sounds like Kaiser and Drew talk to each other and they're like, just promote me to banter a character. Like whatever my little in-between time is, let's just use that to just be like annoying to Reilly or just talk nonsense, right? And it could easily be nonsense that they pre-talked earlier and said, all right, Nirvana song, oh, I'm feeling this, right? Yeah, you know, and I wouldn't put it past those two. I mean, they're very creative-minded people. I could see that really being their code talk, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's again, these are two very different types of managers, two different types of competitors, and that reflects, you know, the mindset and everything going on in their faction as well. You know, it's there's a lot riding on Drew going into this match in particular. Obviously, you know, the dungeon, you know, Andres, he unfortunately he did lose to Adam Collins, obviously, and you know, and obviously we don't know about some of his other competitors, but you know, a lot of people talking about how Drew is really came into this tournament ready to show up. She's been training. This is like Drew's year, and so, you know, she definitely needs this win, you know, kind of move on to kind of prove herself.
Yeah, I mean,
and also for Kaiser, the dungeon is like, ugh.
The dungeon needs it for sure. The dungeon definitely needs it, and VideoDrew is totally capable of making that performance. But yeah, I mean, this is it's strange. Just as a match, when it's all said and done, I feel like she still comes out winning on top just because of showing how well she competes with competitors like Reilly, and when her team's performances and how well she competes with all these other strong teams. Can I just say though, I love this question. I love the Mel Brooks.
Oh my gosh!
Question on this.
I'm just like, the question I'm like indifferent about, but the fact that the movie The Page Master is on screen right now makes me so happy. I love The Page Master. It was one of my favorite movies growing up. Oh, and Christopher Lloyd, Macaulay Culkin, Whoopi Goldberg is in it. Oh my gosh, there's references to like, it's so good. It's so good.
Go check out The Page Master. We'll do a watch along maybe on the Twitch channel.
No, we need to do more stuff on Twitch. I am sad we haven't done more stuff on Twitch.
I know we haven't done it. We should do something this weekend. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try to do something.
I have no life right now, so I'm always available.
But okay, Reilly, VideoDrew, 10-10. Last question on this one.
In 1983.
Yeah. Is it? I feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong. Is it Alias?
I go with Alias. It's just the easiest one. If I'm mispronouncing it, they always tell me wrong.
Yeah, please let us know how to pronounce it. It's funny how the online format works against so many competitors, but for Drew, she's in her element. Not kidding.
Yeah.
This is almost exclusively, not exclusively, but she's been training hardcore in this format for a while. So, you know, it definitely does feel like she's in her element.
Yeah, Alias even points out in the very follow-up comment, she has so many more tools to work with, and that exactly sums up how I feel. It just feels like you're giving her literally more toys to play with not only with their opponent, but just being able to be just VideoDrew in maximum essence, which I kind of love, though, because even in the promo before the match, she goes on saying that she's like, yeah, I'm going to keep it super chill. We have all these other exciting characters right now. I'm not going to do it too hard. And then she just goes in and does it anyway. So I love that. It's always that guessing game with it, but yeah, VideoDrew is just so fun. She is maybe my favorite character in the show now, all things said and done.
I agree. She's definitely in my top 5, but dude, Eric Zipper.
Zipper's
and
great.
I love Zipper so much. I can't. I love Zipper so much. I can't put into words. I think I was kind of like lukewarm on the guy. I thought he was cool, but whatever. But I think just meeting him in person and just like having an actual conversation with him for like 45 minutes. We just talked. And he's just so genuine and chill and nice and I remember like we were like in this like booth like 10 feet from like the entrance to the bathroom, and like Christian was walking out of the bathroom, and Zipper was like, he's like, hey Christian, I really want to play this year. I've been training really, really hard, and I want to play in singles and teams. And he's like, really? And he's like, yeah, I want to do it. And I was like, you go, Zipper.
I know.
Go. And you know, I was like, IG is fine and cool and all, but I really want to prove myself in singles and teams. And I was like, oh.
And what a hell of a run he's had on this tournament so far. He TKO'd Paul Preston, so I mean he's
Huge.
huge stuff. Ben Rainer and Jet Saying Lawn is my fave with a delinquent. You know what? I totally don't play.
Yo.
Delinquent is
Fun.
absolutely amazing. Feels like he's stealing the season.
Yeah.
Andrew Guy's characters are always great as well. I mean, definitely the range Andrew Guy is a sight to behold. There's a lot of good stuff right now.
Yeah, Andrew Guy this season, I feel like that's like a whole conversation in and of itself, you know? I think actually, you know, we should do that for a Twitch channel, some Twitch episode where we talk about our like top 5 personal favorite characters, not competitors, just characters.
Right.
That would be really, really fun. And like, I kind of wonder like how many like doubles there would be, you know?
Oh God, I'm sure the top 3 is pretty strong for most people on that one, but we'll save that for Twitch content.
Here you go.
We're on Riley's question.
Oh, Adam Witt. Adam Witt's another one. Dude, I love me Adam Witt. I love Adam Witt so much. Oh, I think it's just like a lot of people within the dungeon in general, which I really love.
Dungeon has easily some of my favorite characters. Not even more so than that, just some of my favorite people. Adam Witt is absolute delight. Zipper is absolutely great. Parker is fantastic. Smets speaks for itself. Like,
yes, so awesome. I love those guys. They're definitely the faction that if I just wanted to hang out, like genuinely hang out for an evening, like go to a party with, or like, you know, be a fly on the wall for, it would be that group. It, you know, Rockstars and Swag and everyone, you know, Swag maybe, or in Corruption, everything, they might have a lot of the points, and, you know, the champions and everything might be in Finstock Exchange. But who do I want to hang out with? The dungeon.
So, side note on this question, right? Which James Bond actor stars along Angelina Jolie?
Yes.
Not actually how Daniel Craig was in this movie. This was a very early role for him.
To me, I knew this question, but also I feel like this is low key, almost like a 1-pointer. Can you pause that for a second and like go back to that question?
Sure.
So this is kind of an iffy question. Which James Bond actor stars alongside Angelina Jolie as Alex West in 2001's Lara Croft? Now, when I read it, I thought there only could be 2 actual options, because when I read that versus when I hear it, it's very different, obviously. But when I read it as what actor that has portrayed James Bond.
See, yeah, and that's a very different ballpark, but strangely, see, you mentioned it being kind of more of a 1-point question. I think this one is one of those like trick 2-point, maybe even more questions, because if you, knowing Daniel Craig is the answer after the fact, I'm like, oh, okay, but it feels way before Daniel Craig's time. It's before he's even Bond in 2001. And I don't know, maybe I'm not kept up with Daniel Craig very well in his pre-Bond stuff, but he didn't seem like a big name to me just yet. My brain goes to Pierce Brosnan for this game.
He did, yeah, absolutely. I do think it's he did things like Munich. He did a whole, but it was more definitely, or Cake. He did a bunch of indie movies for sure, obviously. But like I mentioned, but how many but when I read it, not hear it, obviously that's very different. It's just how many, I think of which actors that have portrayed Bond. And as a result, obviously, Sean Connery's not in this movie, or Roger Moore, or Lazenby, or Timothy Dalton. So, you know, it comes down to Pierce Brosnan or Daniel Craig.
Right.
And now, if it was, so I could picture it from her point of view. She's probably thinking the James Bond franchise, like which James Bond franchise actor.
Yeah.
I could see that being more what she was thinking of, but hearing it, that was like my automatic, like hearing it and reading it, that's like what I automatically went to, because I'm like, obviously it's either one of these 2. And so my gut's telling me this.
Yeah, and I mean, the first time I even watched the match, I remember thinking like, what James Bond actor? I definitely think like in the franchise, not specifically the character James Bond, but after the fact, whenever and you know, Drew plays a smart. She plays a repeat on that one, and I don't blame her because that question can ambiguously mean in the franchise or the actor that played James Bond. But yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that it's only deeper to me because I wouldn't imagine Daniel Craig 2001. I think Daniel Craig anything gets to that where that time just doesn't click with it. But let's see how it pays off for VideoDrew after the JTE.
Yeah, Sean Bean is a really great guest, though. If we're talking about franchise actors, that's a solid guess. He was, I thought he was like 005 or 006 or something in GoldenEye, I want to say. And it's like a double agent kind of situation. It was so good. It's one of my favorite James Bond movies of all time.
Alias points out that they love Brandon Hanna, but we all
okay.
I want to stand corrected. He dislikes us. I'm totally fine with Brandon Hanna. Make sure to go support Brandon Hanna's channel with all the sci-fi science and stuff like that. wait.
The dude insulted us, okay?
We're on screen. Yeah, Brandon Hanna can burn himself to death. Whatever.
Rawr, rawr. He is honestly, he is a really great guy. He's so chill. He's so nice. I can't wait to see him again in person. I also, when I met him for the first time, I also punched him.
That's true.
In the arm, remember in New York? I was just like, it was in New York. I was like, you son of a bitch. And it was like right after his big heel turn. And I was like, you got me. And I talked to him like just a few days before. And I was just so excited. And I was just like so distraught because I was really pulling for his character. And I was like, how could you do this? And he's like, well, what can I do? And I'm like, and he's like, yeah. And I felt bad. I did apologize. But he's like, yeah, I deserve it.
He does.
And I'm like, you know what? Now, yes.
He's picking fights with the champs. I mean, he's picking fights with the wrong podcast guys, but VideoDrew. This is House Hunters International. Hey, Lucas, how you doing, buddy? So,
Lucas and I, this is like our show that we watch together. Like when we eat dinner, we watch House Hunters International. So, and he gets angry at me if I watch episodes of House Hunters or House Hunters Internationals without him.
That's fair.
So everyone has that thing, you know.
Everybody has their thing.
And your question.
Lucas. It is our thing. I get angry if he's watching that show without me, and vice versa.
So, Alex,
this is a hard one.
Looking at the 5-pointer, VideoDrew has to get this. Do you get this question in the bag? I don't recall you being a big Tarantino fan, but this one is.
I'm not a big Tarantino fan. However, Jackie Brown is my favorite Tarantino movie, and I did not know this one. I guessed Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, because that's the only one I remember where they kind of go off.
Yeah.
But I kept thinking, I was like, I feel like they were like in Mexico or somewhere in Central America at the end of the movie, but I don't remember them specifying where they were going to go to next. I just remember them, being in the car and like going.
Right.
So, yeah, but I was very disappointed personally. I didn't know that 5-pointer, considering it's my favorite.
Oh, yeah. So, as the match begins to wind down, we'll turn down a little bit. How do we feel about Mark Reilly's win on this one? It's definitely it's a rough win. I mean, he even says so much. He says this much. He wins on 12-11, and the last round, it was a rough one. It was a rough one to watch.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it really, really is a rough one to watch. I mean, everyone has good matches and bad matches at the end of the day. Every great competitor has really bad matches, and every really bad competitor has really great matches. Look at Bonnie Somerville. She had the best match of her best match ever, and she's like sitting at 0-4 or something, or 0-3 or something like that right now. And that was against Marisol McKee, and she scored a whopping 17 points, which is really great for a singles match, especially for her. But there's a lot about this match in particular. Drew was very focused, I feel like, on her character. So I wonder if she might have been doing that a little too much, where it might have been distracting. I wonder if she was distracting herself, where she wasn't really able to 100% focus in on what she was doing, where she was like trying to focus on changing the masks, things like that,
Yeah. I mean, definitely every little thing, while it matters, I don't think it had the intended effect on Reilly throughout this match. He definitely didn't seem rattled. He definitely didn't seem too distracted. It never felt like he dropped the ball by any means, other than just not knowing the question or kicking himself. I feel like Reilly was the bigger enemy to himself in this match than VideoDrew.
Yes. Yeah. Reilly, I feel like he definitely. I don't want to say. He seems very disappointed in himself.
Yeah.
Walking, at least in the post interviews and everything, and even Bobby Gucci, he says that wasn't a great win, but it's a win.
We take those W's, boys.
We'll take it. So I get it. It's a win's a win. So I can say that as a manager. I mean, like, it's not the best times, but you got to get everything you get. And also Finstock Exchange, they're also desperate for some wins, going into these next handful of matches.
They're on that close three-way tie. Corruption, Swag, and Finstock Exchange, man. They're scrapping for that top place right now. So every win matters to them. It doesn't matter how. What's his face? Vin Diesel from Fast and Furious. Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, right? That's the mentality right now, guys. They're taking W's wherever they can get them. But yeah, Reilly definitely feeling a little rough on himself on this match, and then following the Shazam match, that's a little rough. So I'm curious to see what his mentality will be going into against a match against Perry. I mean, he's talking right now. You got to respect Perry, but he's coming for that win. Perry, obviously, the huge upset off of Mike Kalinowski from her match with it.
Huge.
And I had her on my fantasy roster. Feels good. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a match where I still feel as though the VideoDrew loses out. And that sounds like a hard thing. Sounds like a contradictory thing to say, but I think it shows that she can play ball with some of the best players that are in the game still, and she doesn't need to have a crazy strong team player. Everybody kept saying, well, Tom was doing all the work with all of this in the tag teams, and no, VideoDrew knows her stuff, man. Knows her stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It really just reaffirmed a lot of things going into it that we know about these competitors. Mark Reilly, he thrives on that second and third round more so than the first, but also vice versa. Drew, she does better in her first and second round, but she doesn't have a great history being in her third round overall.
Right.
Unfortunately. And, everyone has their weaknesses. It's all about how we can kind of come back from that, and when it comes to third rounders, those are dang near impossible to study for because you don't know what category they're going to be in. So you can't really predict it.
Yeah. And I mean, she's only 2 matches in the singles. So maybe she's just had a bad run on her 2, 3, and 5s. She says as much that she probably had it down to like 50-50 on the Tarantino question, and she went Pulp Fiction instead. But, I mean, the doll says it all right there, guys. Look at that face. I think, VideoDrew definitely – I think more than anything, here's what I love about this match for VideoDrew, win or lose, is that it shows not only is it just the fun, the character work, the psychology behind her character and stuff, but genuinely Drew herself super cares about this sport. Because I think people get lost as her just being a distracting character, entertainer, so to speak. But she always says lost and says, yeah, I was hoping to do a lot better. I came down to the 5-pointer, and it's not even in character. This is just genuinely Drew. She's like, I had it between 2 movies, and I was gonna pick that. And I appreciate that genuine character coming through and showing that VideoDrew is actually in this Schmodown League, not just for the distractions and stuff like that. She cares about it. She studies it, and her actions and her words in this one, it bumped it up for me. I think it bumped it up, and I hope it put some naysayers out there who are just like, oh, VideoDrew is just here to be entertaining, but she's not actually a competitor. No, I think she's a strong competitor.
Absolutely. She is definitely one of those competitors that's been very vocal about her training process. She's been training very consistently for the last several months. She's not, cramming 30 minutes prior like Jess Snyder, or in the past week or so, casually watching a few matches here and there of their opponent. She's been actively studying for a very long time. So, even though she did lose this match, I do think she's going to come back stronger than ever in the next, few matches. I do think some competitors we've also learned in this tournament that some competitors really thrive in team environments, and some competitors thrive in singles environments, and some can do both. but sometimes it really adds that removes a lot of that extra pressure, psychological pressure. If you're with the team, Rachel Silvestrini, unfortunately she is like 0-3, I believe, right now, and in singles. However, she is bomb as part of a team, and can't wait to see more from her. But also, like VideoDrew, I think she is really fantastic in a team. I do think she is also. I do think she has a little bit to work on when it comes to singles as well, though.
Yeah. And great point with that. Some players definitely lend themselves more to teams than singles. And I think VideoDrew and Reilly both are players who lean themselves more to those divisions overall. Reilly, and not to say that Reilly can't run singles. Obviously, we look at his earlier work, he's a former singles champion, has those great runs. But in more recent years, I think he's had more success in teams and less so in the singles tournaments. I mean, we go against Sky, we go against all the first round matches in the singles tournaments. I mean, he's had a rough go in singles for sure. So I think that this was going to be a good, interesting match no matter what. And I think it lives up. Is it like a heavy hitting one? Are they at their best? Definitely not. But the questions played out, and it was a good match regardless. I really like this match overall.
Well, one of the big takeaways from this match, obviously, is not only that Mark Reilly won, but he is going to be playing against Perry Nemiroff. I'm just going to go ahead and bring up the little chart. Thankfully, the Schmoedown Live website, they're trying to stay up to date with all their, the wins and everything as the week progresses. So, right now, obviously Mark Reilly being the winner today is going up against Nemiroff right here. So who do you think is going to win for that match?
Reilly versus Nemiroff? Ooh. Well, I would love for Perry to do another big win because she's on my fantasy roster on this one.
She's on mine too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to go Reilly. I think Perry is this year's Stacey Howard, right? She's got the big round one upset. She bracket busts her way through the first round. And then I think she just takes the L on this next one. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a good match. Perry has definitely shown that in not only her last match against Mike, but even her exhibition matches, she's a strong player. People forget. And, she beat Mike, who is now at half of the team's championship. So, yeah, I don't know. But I feel like this is going to be Reilly's small little run right now. How he might do in round 3 against either Oyama or Snyder, or possibly Marisol, depending who comes out on that little bracket, is TBD. But what do you think? Perry against Mark on this one?
I think the opposite. I think Perry's got this, to be honest. I say that because Perry has proved, not only in her win, but she's talked about in interviews, she's really actively studying going into these matches as she's studying her opponents. She's also one of those people that actively hates to lose. When she loses hard and she hates it. It's like she's crazy competitive. Not saying not everyone's competitive in Schmoedown, but she takes when she wins, she wins. But she loses as she's really hung up over it over a few days. And so she's taking it much more seriously this time around, being in Schmoedown. Now, I also think that not only is she studying more, but also I think that especially after how she's able to kind of stay refocused because of Koi, I think she works really well with Koi. Yeah. That she's able to kind of climb herself out of a hole if needed. And I think that's something she can do really effectively, but I don't think Reilly can do that right now.
Yeah, I think the psychology is really interesting for that match altogether. Perry mentions in her match that she's like, wow, I mean, Reilly is such a legend in this game, so I don't know how I'm going to get over that foot of a mountain. So she's kind of almost conceding psychologically early on, but Reilly had a rough match on this match. He has the loss from Shazam against Who's the Boss. So
he barely won today.
Yeah, barely wins today. He needs this. I think this is a match that he really needs to win. I think this is that. This is that beginning of a streak match where it's just like, if you've been on a negative roll for so long, you just need those wins to kind of dig you out. And this one, I don't think does enough for him psychologically to put him over the mountain. I think he really needs this win over Perry because this is a match I think a lot of people expect Reilly to win, which just puts it even harder, more stakes on Reilly. And Perry is just like, I don't think I'll win, but I'm going to come play my hardest no matter what. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Both of them have have a very disadvantage against each other in this psychologically to some extent. But it'll be a good match, I think. I think it'll be definitely a good match. Round 2, their horror categories and stuff like that. Again, kind of like VideoDrew. They have the similar strengths to a certain extent. So it'll be a good one. I think there's gonna be a lot of steals up on the table depending on how these land.
Yeah, not kidding. I'm also kind of curious how their strengths and weaknesses would kind of like align. Perry, obviously, she was in the movie release dates. I believe she was in movie release dates. But
new releases.
I know she was in recent release. She was in recent releases. She won in that. She won, and she went up against like Dan Murrell, in that exhibition matches, and she won. And not only that, she kicked Butte. Okay, she not only won, she won big. So it was a huge thing for her. So I don't think we can just keep sleeping on her as a competitor. I would not be surprised that, obviously I don't think she's going to be the winner of the tournament or anything by any means. I do think she's going to walk away against the win against Reilly, but I do know for sure going into the draft next year, I do think that she's going to be drafted pretty quickly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you.
And David Del Rio. Oh my gosh, David Del flipping Rio. That match.
Another one. You had a killer match against Chance. Overtime. That
was a great match.
That speaks so much more volumes about anything. Yeah, both of those players off of this singles tournament have done so much to win up or lose upwards in their rankings. Yeah. So yeah, oh gosh, I hope the draft and the awards are live in person again. I need to be there for that.
Dude, I don't want to cry. Like, if that was like the first big reunion for everyone after this whole thing, it would be like an aggressive cry situation. Like, we would be covered in snot and tears, and that's not great considering everything going on. I do not want to be around other people covered in snot and tears.
Yeah, and call to action. Just because.
Yeah,
we're crying on stream, and if you think we don't cry in person,
we missed each other so much.
Happy to see
I missed you, family. It's bonkers, guys. We're stupid close as a group from C2A.
We love this podcast so much.
Yeah. Actually, my boy Jonathan, as in not Josh, just to clarify, he's actually in my faction. Just saying, but just saying, I'm very proud that all of them except the last Mel Brooks question. So I do want to bring up real quickly this picture just for a quick update before we drop off. I just kind of get a quick update of Finstock Exchange as well as the dungeon. Vinny Mancuso, obviously he had a solid upset against Sabrina Ramirez not too long ago. VideoDrew lost today. Eric Zipper and Andres Gallego. So Z-Man and the Ice Pick are his only competitors left going into the second round. Well, technically, Vinny Mancuso, he's going to be going into his first round.
Right.
Because the last match was a qualifying match, I think, technically. Yeah.
And I think he goes up against, is it the winner of Ethan? No, he goes up against Ethan. He goes up against Ethan. Which, whew, talk about a first round match right there.
No pressure.
Yeah, zero pressure. Just playing the person who had a title match just a little bit ago and is an absolute monster. And to Zipper's disdain, he gets the winner of Vinny and Ethan. So it's kind of a lose-lose. Or Zipper, in his own words, is pretty much that. It's kind of a lose-lose. I either knock out a faction mate or I play Ethan Irwin. So, but that's Zip not putting faith into himself again. And Zip's an absolute monster too. Don't you forget it, guys.
Love him. Yes.
Absolutely. It's a tough bracket for the dungeon, that's for sure. It's not an easy way to pick up those points.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed, they have a little more success going into the team's tournament. We have heard whispers that Adam Witt and Z-Man, they are teaming up going into the team's tournament. So I think that was confirmed during Zipper's win against Paul Preston. So I am really excited to see that. Unfortunately, that does mean that Drew is done for the rest of the season, unfortunately. we'll see what happens here next season. Also with Finstock Exchange, the Barbarian, obviously hot off of his win just the other day, Mark Yodi Reilly, John Roca, and Dan Merle, he's obviously he's a champion. Yeah, right, and so he still has 3, 2, I assume honestly 3, because let's face it, it's Roca against Adam Collins. Like, I love Adam Collins, he's great, but he's going up against Roca. So
yeah, I mean, Roca's a clear favorite in that one, and that's something.
Yeah, so
it's more of a prop to Roca.
I hate to assume.
Hey, I mean, Collins had a great first match. It could be an upset for sure, but
that's true. We've had many an upset this season so far.
Roca is Roca, and Roca gets hungry, and Roca enjoys the tournament runs, man. So yeah, I mean, Finstock Exchange is very much in it. 3 strong competitors, and Reilly, Roca, and Barbarian. So they're far from out of the race as far as that goes. The faction race is going to be heavy all the way until the end. I don't think we're going to know for sure until the very last match of Spectacular who's going to be the top faction by the time it's all said and done. It's going to be hot. It's going to be really hot. But without further ado, let's start to wrap up this wonderful breakdown with my always great sister in the podcast, Alex Shawshay. Where can they catch you at?
You can find me on Twitter at real_AlexMack. It's in the description box below. I host a show called Cinema Bias. Well, co-host of that show, Cinema Bias, where we dive into a movie every single week on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock Central. With a movie that challenges both, me and or Drew. Drew has never seen Disney's animated Mulan, and so I can't, I'm like, how's that happening? So we're going to be diving into that one next Tuesday. It's a huge blank spot for her. We're also going to be diving into Beverly Hills Cop pretty soon. I've never seen that movie, so we're going to be doing that. So it's going to be so much fun here very soon. Again, it's all about challenging each other. She's never seen this one, so I'm going to kind of, talk to her about that. I've never seen Beverly Hills Cop. She's going to teach me about that. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. We're going to do Lethal Weapon. I've never seen any movie in the Lethal Weapon franchise, to be honest. Sorry. Sorry.
And that's just because Jet Li is in it. I love Jet Li.
I do love me some Jet Li. I do. But we're possibly going to be having a guest come on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that. I cannot wait. It's a big guest. But yeah, I also I created a show called Schmobates. Every single Wednesday, we dive into doing some really solid arguments focused on Schmodown, asking really weird questions, get debated between some people. And next week, we're looking into being a faction-themed debate again, and focusing on the rock stars. So come hang out.
Ooh, fun stuff ready over there. And yeah, just a small little show on this channel called Schmobates. You may have heard of it. Small little show. But I am
It is a small show, okay?
It is far from a small show.
It is. It is a very small show.
Yeah, Jake, I'm with you, buddy. 4 is probably my favorite as well. I don't know. I love Always Sunny in Philadelphia's Lethal Weapon 5. But anyway, enough distractions, guys. I'm Dylan Camacho. You can catch me, as always, at the Call to Action podcast, YouTube channel, or the Twitch channel, which is we'll do something here soon. We're always craving to do some hangouts and something like that. If you're wanting for more content, more of our shows for that stuff with me, I'll do it whenever I do it. I don't know. Schmobates and chill is too sexy right now. I feel like I'm not adding too much spice on that one. But if you want to catch me on a different channel doing different content, you can catch me over at FN Podcast, where I do movie reviews with 3 buddies of mine, not from anybody in this verse. But if you want to see what my thoughts were on, what did we just do? Casino Royale just came out. Casino Royale. Yeah.
What do you mean Casino Royale came out?
Well, we just did a review of Casino Royale. It didn't just come out.
Oh, which one? Which one? The original or like the newer one?
No, the Daniel Craig version.
Oh, so good. So good. That's one of my top 5 James Bond movies of all time, I gotta say.
It may be my number 1. It is everything I want out of a James Bond film. It's so good. But if you want to catch more of my thoughts with me and 3 randos, go check out FN Podcast on YouTube, and it will be on over there. What is the name channel? Drop links. Do it, Dylan. I'll drop it in the comments below because I don't have it on hand, and I just don't like plugging my channel on this channel right away in open space. Check the comments below. I'll plug it. Anyway. Yep, that's our show for today. If you like the content we're putting out, as always, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Give us that big thumbs up if you enjoyed your time hanging out with me and Alex. And look in the comments. You may even see a different FN. Here, let me Lucas, you're killing me. Here you go. Here, there. This is what you're looking for. FN Podcast. All right, that's where you want to go. God dang it, Lucas! Every time I know you try to derail me, I fall for it every time. That's our show, everybody. Make sure to tune in. When is our next content? Do we get another breakdown coming up? No, tomorrow's Friday. There's not a match on
I have no idea what day of the week, what year it is.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on anymore.
I don't remember when our next content is, but you can know right away if you hit that bell, and that'll let you know, bing, right when we're about to go live again and do something new. If nothing else, we've got chill and call coming up this weekend sometime. And hopefully we do try to do something with Twitch here soon. So stay tuned. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials. That's our show, guys. Love y'all. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Labor Day and all that good stuff. We'll catch